So here are our cardinal directions, and we are going to be able to use these in the sentence in place of our relative directions like al lado de, encima de, and debajo de. We will need to start off with the word to the, so it'll be al norte, al este, al sur, or al oeste. So we would say it's to the north, to the east, to the south, or to the west. And we would say de, of, and then we would connect our relative words. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and copy this over into our document for us to use. And then we're going to get a chance to try and describe these maps. So what we're going to learn about now are the cardinal directions. And cardinal directions are much more useful than our relative directions that we used here, because a relative direction, like in front or behind, left and right, they depend on the perspective of the person who's looking or the person who's describing. So if we are face to face, when I say left, you're going to see right, and vice versa. And something that's in front of me from one side looks like it's behind me, and from the other looks like it's in front. So this is why it's really important to understand our cardinal directions here, because regardless of which direction we're facing or who's describing, north is going to always be north, east will always be east, south will always be south, and west will always be west. A lot of times when we're talking about states or countries like we see here with the United States, people will say things like Virginia is on top of North Carolina. And I like to ask this in class, what state is on top of North Carolina? North Carolina is on top of North Carolina, the airspace, the clouds, until we go into outer space. So there's not a state on top of North Carolina. Virginia is north of North Carolina, and North Carolina is north of South Carolina. Sometimes my younger students have trouble understanding if Tennessee is to the west or to the east of North Carolina. And what we want to do is, I like that I have this mouse here. It's kind of pointing in all four directions. Is you want to think which direction do you have to go from North Carolina in order to understand which direction it actually is. So if I'm in North Carolina like my mouse is, we can see that Tennessee is to the west. So we'd have to go west to get there. Now that we're in Tennessee and you wanted to describe North Carolina is to the east of Tennessee. And it just takes some practice and hopefully some activities with a compass and a map are really fun things to do to get out of the house and not use your technology so much, to make sure you can understand how to describe these sentences. But let's go ahead and try and describe a couple of states here in the United States, a couple of countries in South America, and then I'd like to describe a state and a country and see if you can guess which one I'm talking about. So we'll start here. We're going to start with Wyoming. It's got a lot of states around it. So if I were talking about Wyoming, then I would start by saying Wyoming is east of Idaho. Wyoming is west of Nebraska. Wyoming is south of Montana. Wyoming is north of Colorado. So we want to start with some sentences like this. We're going to start by saying Wyoming está. If you choose S in my class at this point, that's okay. We're going to say to the al east este de Idaho. So Wyoming is to the east of Idaho. Wyoming is to the west of Nebraska. So this would look like Wyoming está al oeste de Nebraska. Wyoming is south of Montana. We will start our sentence with Wyoming está al sur de Montana. And we do want accents on these A's so that it doesn't say this instead of it is. All right. El último, vamos a hablar de Colorado. Entonces, vamos a decir que Wyoming está al norte de Colorado y queremos una mayúscula aquí y una tilde encima de la A. All right, guys. So, now that we've said those sentences, let's see if we can listen to a sentence and understand which state it is that I'm talking about. So let's take a good look here at our United States map, and we're going to see which state it is that we're talking about. So, I would say, está al oeste de Texas, Está al este de Arizona. Está al sur de Colorado. Yes, the answer would be New Mexico. Al oeste de Texas, al este de Arizona, y al sur de Colorado would be New Mexico. All right, I'm going to teach you a different trick here with the countries, and hopefully you can use it with the states too, and maybe replace it with other vocab that you learn if you're talking about a more local map. So let me show you exactly what I mean. We're going to need the word país. The word país means country. There's an accent in there as well. If we were talking about the United States, or maybe in Canada or another country, you may need the word province or district. So what we're going to use here for the United States is the word estado. Estado means state. So what we want to do is we're going to be able to say that some countries are multiple countries away. This maybe would have worked a little better with the states, but we're going to do a good job here. So if I'm talking about Colombia, I can say Colombia está al sur de Venezuela. But if I wanted to talk about maybe Argentina or Chile as my reference point, I could say that Colombia está dos países al norte de Chile. So I could say it's two countries north. Maybe I want to say two countries north of Chile. So let's try that one. I'm going to say Colombia está, ¿cómo se dice two? Dos, ¿cómo se dice countries? Países, to the north. Al norte de, now we can say Chile. Or Argentina, Chile. All right. Vamos a agregar los tildes a las palabras. Y ahorita podemos ver. All right. So here I could say how many countries away something is. Let's try it here. All right. So if I wanted to say that New York is 2 states north of Virginia, then I would say Nueva York está 2 estados al norte de Virginia. All right, you guys, let's try one before we go, describing where a country is, and then I'd love to see what you're able to accomplish describing your own maps, describing your own cities, or describing the United States or a different country. So, está al norte de Bolivia, está al sur de Venezuela, está al este de Perú, y está al oeste del Océano Atlántico. I'll say it one more time. Está al norte de Bolivia, está al este de Perú, está al sur de Venezuela, y está al oeste del Océano Atlántico. I hope I didn't switch any of those countries up. I did it from memory, but I think you should be able to see que estoy hablando de Brasil, al norte de Bolivia, al sur de Venezuela, al este de Perú, y al oeste del Océano Atlántico. I hope this helps you all with using directional verbs. Feel free to send me some of your sentences you're able to complete. Adios.